A big warm welcome. I'm going to hand over to Prasad to introduce the team. Thanks, Prasad.
Thanks, Rosie, and welcome again to the third session now. And good morning to and good afternoon to everyone. I'm sitting in Bombay right now, and this is session 3. This session looks at higher education and technical and vocational education and training, and looks at ways in which one can create and expand the learning spaces in there. So meet our team here. Our team includes people from 4 countries. There is Bertha from South Africa, Diodone from Rwanda, Mohammed from Somalia, Prachi and me from India. I am Prasad Shetty, speaking from Bombay. And we are basically kind of, talking through 7 projects that we kind of work with. 2 of our members are not here. 2 of the project members are not here. That is Abdi Mahad and Abhishek Sahai and Nilima Ambedkar. So these are the 7 projects, and these projects include looking at the area of circular economy, looking at community-based participation, action, and research, looking at life skills in higher education, looking at universities as sustainable communities, looking at sustainable technical and vocational education, looking at teacher and institutions as agencies of change and catalysts of change, and looking at a larger ecosystem of education. Now, when we put all of these things together, and when we spoke, for the first time, these are the common things that emerged. We were all interested in the idea of the community, and we believed in the idea of community. We believed that community has a role to play in education, and specifically higher education. We believed in the idea of life, the embedding education within the larger idea of life. We believed in the idea of agency and ecosystem, teachers as agency, larger ecosystem within which we want to kind of, embed ourselves and look at education itself as an ecosystem. And broadly, these are the terms and interests that shaped our presentation for the day. And of course, there are many more things about each of our projects, but we will stick to these projects to make our points and subsequently the 3 big ideas. What were the projects? What were all of these projects responding to? I mean, one of the primary things that they were responding to was poor impacts and effectiveness of higher and professional and vocational education and training. And we saw that. We saw that in India, where 95% of India's population does not get served by trained architects. In Somalia and Rwanda, we saw that only less than 5% of TVET graduates participated in the national workforce. We saw that the teacher education programs were largely controlled by the private sphere, and employers lacked confidence in current skills which the training programs provided. So this is the primary context, that this higher and technical education and vocational education was not being effective to even kind of get jobs for the graduates. The second context that we were looking at was the academic spaces were becoming benign spaces to prepare workforce for our to become a workforce for the market and less for the community needs. For example, architectural institutions were focused around market, and you see on the right, when graduate architects build for the slums, they build it like this, like really uninhabitable buildings. In Rwanda, for example, we find that there is no connection between the TVET schools and communities. And academic spaces in teacher education are highly content focused, primarily for the job market. So what we are seeing is academic spaces really being these dormant, seen as these dormant benign spaces, which are supplying this breed of, so to say, professionals. And in the context one, these professionals were not even useful. So these were basically the two contexts that we were responding to. I'll invite Bertha to kind of open up the challenges from these contexts. Bertha?
Thank you, Rashad. Good morning / afternoon to everyone. So for us, in reflecting about creating and expanding learning spaces in higher education and TVET, we came out with 4 challenges, and the number of these challenges have nothing to do with the number of countries that are involved in this presentation. I think this was a mere a coincidence that we came out with 4 challenges. And the challenges kind of build up to what Prashad was presenting. So the first challenge is on excessive focus on technical skills and absence of life skills. So for example, you can see the diagram or the picture on your right side. So the picture basically indicates how the humanities courses in India, including technical education, which are around only 10%, while the technological courses, makes up about 40%. So in a sense, this kind of tells us that the sustainability courses are being ignored while the focus is more on technical oriented courses. And it's the same example in Rwanda, where the aspect of life skills is missing in the curriculum, resulting into making it hard for graduates to retain and get sustainable jobs. And the last point, which I'll point out later on in I think is the third or fourth challenge, is on the increasing loss of teachers' agency, both at the university and at the school level, but I'll explain this later. Next slide, please. The second challenge, which speaks of, it's kind of a build up to the focus on technical skills vis-a-vis the life skills, on the inconsistency between the process that is taught at the university or in the schools and what is actually happening outside academia. So you can see the diagram. The diagram gives us an example from India, which shows the process of habilitation production that is taught in architectural, which is different from the actual process that is okay, I'll repeat that. So the diagram shows how the process is being taught in higher education and the actual inhabitation process of making this architectural design in India. So you can see the difference between the up diagram and the bottom, how the process is actually different. And this is the same thing in Rwanda, where another aspect or concept that we can say that results to this insignificance or different between the process that is being taught and what is actually happening at or outside academia is the inconsistency or lack of collaboration that exists between universities, TVET, and what the community actually needs. And the adequate or the lack of collaboration brings us to the third challenge. Next slide, please, which speaks about the absence or little opportunities for collaboration. And this speaks about in higher education and between higher education and community. So first, as I've mentioned, there's less collaboration. For example, in Rwanda, there's less collaboration between universities and community in regards to talking about skills and what graduates need, need to learn and what actually community needs. And this is the same thing in India, where there's no space for small and local contractors in regard to the formal so there's no space for the small and local contractors from India in the spaces of formal architectural space that they train their students. And speaking about the collaborations within the university, and this is where our project comes in, it's, especially in South Africa, speaking about colonial legacies that left out persistence inequalities in terms of who gets access to universities and how they get to participate and benefit from higher education spaces. So in a way, we lack some sort of collaboration within higher education spaces to allow all stakeholders at the university or higher education to work as a community. Next slide, please. And the last challenge that we came out with is on this. I mentioned this in the first point, is on the aspect of having academia or teaching community, now being regarded as passive and disconnected from the community or the agents that prepares students for the job market. So I mentioned about lack of teachers' agency. And I think a clear example comes from India, where teachers don't really have a framework that interrogate community needs. And I think we've also seen this in Rwanda. And another thing is that, so because they don't have this framework to interrogate or to think about what community needs, what also comes out is that in India, school teachers are being given scripted pedagogical frameworks or narratives that are being prepared by private or corporate agency. In regard, teachers don't really have their agency, or they don't have space to practice their agency, because they're being handled this scripted pedagogical practice in regard on how to teach their students. And so, as you can see, these teachers or trainers are not really given mandate to support on the social impact on how to access education and life after graduation. So in a way, this results into teachers not having agency, and this teaching community being away or rejected from the dominant agent of preparing students for the job market. Now, from these challenges, I'll invite Mohammed to give us the big ideas that comes out from the common thread and common challenges that came out from our 4 projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bertha, for the introduction. My name is Mohammed Hale. I'm a part of the team, the research team. One of the things that we were really pleased with was when our initial meeting, we were able to highlight common challenges, as Bertha stated. We also looked at the common ideas that we can bring together. And this resulted in us discussing and agreeing on 3 big ideas, which are solutions to our current context. So I'll be presenting big idea 1, which is the University of Life. The University of Life is an idea that we've created whereby the ecosystem looks to recognize different actors, different agencies involved in the learning process. This can include informal, formal methods of learning, also include and can have different environments, whether it be inside the educational institution or out on the outside, looking at the local communities. So on the right-hand side, you can see an illustration that we did. This is the ecosystem of skill development. As you can see, there are different stakeholders involved, and each stakeholder are shown to have different roles and responsibilities. And this here shows that the ecosystem development enables community members themselves to be a part of job creation. So on to the next. So what we did was, with this big idea, we looked at the current projects that we've done last year and looked at how we've seen these big ideas. And one of the things that we've saw, for example, is in India, the context of architectural education. It's useful to develop pedagogy to learn contexts and processes of habitations making in the country. The example that we used in this instance is small contractors, for them to be able to work alongside universities on courses such as ethics, repair and retrofitting. These will strengthen existing pedagogies as there is a collaboration between the two. On to the next. Looking into Rwanda and Somalia, similarly, they've highlighted that there's a need for skill development. Then skill development requires collaboration between the community stakeholders, and that allows the skill development to tailor towards the needs of the people. In Somalia, it's highlighted that the collaboration there should be a creation of communication channels, and that allows and promotes collaborations. On the right, you can see a photo with the study of Rwanda, where the university team met with the local community, met with the TVET school teachers, and that forum that they've created, that communication channel, allowed the team to get a lot of information that later on would be towards sustainable skill development. Yep. When we looked at more towards the actual teachers involved, the educational institutions involved, one of the things that we highlighted in India is the teacher education. There's a need for open format courses. This allows us to experiment on things such as processes, collaborations. Also allows us to select how we should participate within the community. And one of the things that, as you can see, this is a constant theme, is engaging with the stakeholders. This University of Life is a term that we wanted to use as it's a circle where students communicate with teachers and educational institutions. Educational institutions work with stakeholders such as employers, and the employers end up benefiting the community, and the community is linked back to the students. So as you can see, there is that community, that University of Life that we've tried to look into, and that is, we believe, it as a clear solution to our current challenges. So I'd like to put it now on towards Prachi, who would like to further discuss Big Idea 2.
So hello everyone, thanks Mohammed. So I'm Prachi, and I'm speaking from Delhi. So the second big idea that we all thought kind of ran as a common thread between the various projects that we were discussing is the idea of institutions and teachers as agents and catalysts. And we realized that all our projects underlined the need for institutions and teachers to have agency, to be seen as active participants and active agents of society, rather than merely passive preparation centers for the marketplace. And we felt that spaces of teaching and learning therefore need rethinking. And we need to evolve new forms of pedagogies which move away from imparting, merely content-based and information-based knowledge to more to creating abilities in process thinking, in intervening and in imparting life skills to trainees and students. And on the right, you can see a photograph from a classroom where a teacher is actually, sharing a story, a book with children in her classroom. And such spaces are increasingly actually shrinking rather than expanding. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, and I will be taking up two examples from two of our projects. So, for instance, the project around architecture underlined the need to for architectural institutions also to participate in societal processes by interrogating them and thus generating new knowledge. It was clear that this would require encouraging and providing support for teachers in architecture institutions to participate in research and in social activities. And on the right, you can see a photograph where, there's a discussion being held with municipal officials and community level stakeholders on climate change in an architectural college in India. And another example from, for instance, my project is that when teachers, both school teachers as well as teacher educators in higher education, when they have agency or when they exercise agency through subtle forms of resistance, they respond in many creative and passionate ways to the learning needs of their students. So at the bottom, you can, for instance, see a series of picture books that teachers have developed through their creative desire to create books for children in their classroom, and they've shared these books with children, with their own students. And so there was a collaborative work which led to the development of these picture books. And to talk about the third big idea, I'll hand over to Judon. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Prachi, for the great presentation. I continue in our team presenting the third big idea, which is the institutions to have collaborative platform. We have been convinced with all these projects we have been implementing that actually the main purpose of education is community skills development. And for the community to have skills it needs for it to survive, for it to develop, to achieve to its purpose, we have realized that education shouldn't be an interval of one person. It should be a collaboration. So for now, to think of education as a collaborative platform, and there should be links, there should be structures within and between universities and the other training institutions and the community for them to find solutions. So we have here a framework. This framework has been adapted from other studies, as you can see in the caption, but has been tested in Rwanda, and have realized that this collaboration actually is possible. And we can have TVET schools as the spearheading the training of skills at the community, but it needs to collaborate with the community and the local government, and of course the universities, and then they define a common goal or a shared vision, the aim that they want to achieve, which is community skills development. And then they establish supportive environment around them. And then they come up with activities they can implement. So then as they continue implementing that interval, which is community skills development, they need to have also to conduct a review on a continuing basis, and also evaluations of what they are doing, and learn from what they are doing, in order to ensure that the learnings that they generate from that collaboration is also fueled into the TVET program programs that are being conducted. And the universities will play a big role. If you can clear again, there's another framework which will come there, which should show us that collaboration, like for example, this example of India, this is engineering. You can see children are contributing the construction process, as you can see. So universities shouldn't be seen as these walls, these fences, this big entrance, but should be an area where people collaborate. After all, what we are doing is for the benefit of the communities we are serving. So we can invite people come in, like this project that has been implemented in India. You can see that for architectural project, children can contribute ideas, and then researchers can learn from the communities, and then they can also inform the educators as they continue. So the clinic can provide information to what we teach in our schools. We have, for example, this framework. The next slide. We have a framework here, institutions to have collaborative platforms. We can see, for example, this framework to enabling collaborations for sustainable community skills development, whereby first we have the community developed perspectives. This is what the community wants. This is what the community needs. There are issues that the community wants to solve. And then the community sit together with their partners, the other stakeholders. They do a reflection on the community needs, and that will feed into the private sector. The private sector is going to do an analysis and see what they can do. By private sector here, we are thinking also of institutional capacity, these schools which are going to start to solve those problems. And now they're going to also reflect on their capacity. And then we have the collaboration of the universities and the government and civil society organizations. And they're going to do a reflection of what they can do. And then this is going to generate a chain of solutions, interrogating the needs and designing the training that is needed in order to solve the problem in the society. So a conceptualization of how universities, communities, development, stakeholders in TVET schools can collaborate has been developed, and it is possible. So today we are sharing with you that is possible. We can collaborate with the community. We can collaborate with TVET schools as universities in order to provide solutions to the communities. Universities are expected to function as a catalyst of sustainable skills development by enabling the community's capabilities. Next slide. So we have here another example of India where it has been also been done. A co-production team here on the picture that we see here. We see a co-production team giving out a presentation of the understanding of the overlapping themes. We are enthusiastic and well equipped to conduct in-depth research, which instilled a sense of ownership. We have actually discussed in our reflections that when the universities are collaborating with the community and other capacity building stakeholders, there's an increase of ownership and there's an increase of sustainability. For teachers, teacher educators to have agency, open format courses offer possibilities of collaborative and incremental learning, which benefit both the program and students. Thus, networks of teachers and teacher educators will enable a supportive and professional learning environment. We have seen this example in India, in Rwanda, in Somalia, and in these other countries. So it is possible that the universities and training stakeholders can collaborate. Also in Somalia, project use of co-producers, like these are students, helped again profound understanding of the factors affecting the education and daily lives of TVET trainees and graduates in Somalia. So collaborations are possible, and the collaborations can provide, can increase a sense of ownership. They are also going to help us to contribute to solving the community's problems. And that collaboration is going to help us to understand what problems are and what the solutions should be in order to achieve sustainable development. I will invite Mohammed to put together all these ideas we have been discussing in a way of providing us conclusions. Welcome, Mohammed.
Thank you again. We could, I think, speak for hours talking about our ideas, because one of the things that we've been really fortunate enough to do is with not only these three big ideas that we've discussed, but we've highlighted these case studies in which they're linking basically to these solutions. So for me, at the moment, I've been given the role to conclude. So one of the things that I wanted to really highlight is on the left-hand side, you can see the projects. We've got a range of different projects in different countries in the world: Rwanda, India, Somalia, South Africa. And one of the things that we really want to highlight is the common interests here. High keywords such as life, community, agencies, university, ecosystem, and economy. So one of the things that we looked into in our project, in our presentation, is the common context. These two common contexts allowed us to highlight and link to challenges that we have. The challenges, as we've stated, it being, for example, the excessive focus on certain skills and the absence of life skills. We've highlighted the actual process that is being taught, and then there's a lack of communication when it comes to the inside academia and the outside. One of the things that we've highlighted as a challenge was the lack of collaboration between the universities, higher education TVET, and the local community. And we've also spoke about how the rigid teaching structure, this teaching framework that we've highlighted. So with these challenges, with the current context, we've now looked into these three big ideas. The three big ideas being the University of Life, institutions as active agencies and catalysts, and the third idea being the collaborative platform. One of the things that we believe is not only are these solutions that we were able to come up with in our brainstorm sessions, but what we highlighted is the actual project, the previous projects that we've done. There are a number of points that are linked to each solution, whether it be, for example, the University of Life, where the format of teaching has changed within our projects, whether it's the institutions as active agencies, whereby, for example, teachers are looking to work towards access to education, for example, towards marginalized communities. And the third being the collaborative platform. The collaborative platform allows us to get a better understanding of what the community actually needs, rather than what we have on the table. So I think what we've done is we'd like to thank you all for listening to our presentation. And what we would like to give is we've got, I think, 10 minutes to answer any of your questions. So if you've got any questions, you could direct it to a person, and they can answer directly. Thank you. So I'll give it to Prasha to manage the question and answers. So and then that would help us. So I think there are some hands up. So Prasha, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mohammed. I don't see any hands up, but people can speak. Yeah, Eric, yeah.
Hi, thank you. That was fantastic. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So my question is simply, what was the biggest positive surprise you had?
Does anybody want to take this up? Sorry, yeah, Dudhan.
Yes, thank you very much, Eric, and everybody. You know,
I think Dudhan's connection is slightly weak. Prachi, you want to respond? Yeah.
So for me, the biggest surprise was So I was trying to investigate a kind of, an open format course where there was a lot of flexibility for teacher educators to design their course. And it was fascinating to see how across various colleges, they had not only collaborated, but they had brought in very creative, very interesting ideas to shape the course, to shape the program. And so we added that in one of the big ideas that courses which give more flexibility are less content focused and oriented, but are more process focused, where students acquire processes such as creativity, imagination, collaborative working.
Thanks, Prachi. Dodana, you want to kind of quickly make your point?
Yes, I was going to say that we were surprised that the challenges that our educational systems are facing are more or less similar from different corners of the world. And we came to realize actually that solutions that we can have, that can bring to those challenges, needs to be collaborative as well. We were surprised to see that, for example, in Somalia, we are speaking the same language as in Rwanda, we are speaking the same language in South Africa and India. And remember, when we were implementing this project, we didn't meet together first to think of solutions, but we have realized that the projects are bringing more or less similar solutions. So then this is an indication that we need collaborations as we are looking for solutions for our communities. Thank you.
Thanks, Dodana. Yeah, so the project has been full of surprises at the project stage, but also at this collaboration stage. I mean, similarities and so much energy amongst teachers across. There's another question from Rafael. Do you have plans for a collaborative output based on this talk, cross-national insights? I think one of the big things of this presentation was we made new friends and very nice, good friends. And I think we should all thank Rosie because she's been so central for this presentation and for this organization. I'm sure there will be more collaboration opportunities, and we will continue talking to each other with everybody whom we've been speaking to. Mohammed, you want to respond? Or
yeah, so linking it to Raphael's question, I think that one of the things that we've highlighted also in our presentation is because there's a lack of collaborative links between the universities and the local community, the reason being is we haven't established this communication channel. So I think one of the things that we've seen is while working together is initially I never thought that I would be working with a colleague in India, Rwanda, South Africa, but because I think TSF has created or established that communication channel, we've been able to then ask each other the questions and say, okay, what was your solution to this problem? And I think that has allowed us to get, even for me, one of the things that I'll give you a quick example. Dodane, for example, he works with the University of Rwanda. He was working with a TVET school, training them towards life skills. So for us at Higher Education, we're a TVET school. Now we're looking to partner up with a university so we can, so our students can get that additional life skills. So I think one of the things is because TSF has established this communication channel, we've been able to now get different information from each other, and hopefully that can actually, with these three big ideas, these big solutions that we've created, try and expand that to actual tangible results. Yep.
Thanks, Mohammed. Bertha, you want to add to that?
Yeah, what I wanted to say was that I think another interesting thing is that apart from the collaboration that the network has established, it has also kind of widen up our thinking and ideas because like for example, in this presentation, I find myself reading or wanting to know about Teachers Agency, wanting to know about TVET. So, it has also brought up more ideas beyond our beyond our comfort zone. Like now I'm thinking beyond universities as sustainable communities. I want to look at what TVET's project is saying. I want to look at what is happening in Rwanda. So it has also kind of helped us to broaden beyond the collaborations that we can actually do the work.
Yeah, I second that that insight actually. I mean, there's so much to learn between things, and this presentation actually put us into a position of having to look at each other's work closely, you know, and that was really the big thing that happened in this presentation. So yeah, there aren't any more questions, and I think we are well within our time. If there is anything else from anybody. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening to us and giving us this opportunity. We hope to stay connected, and we will keep coming back to you. Thank you so much. Rosie?
Yes, wonderful presentation. I think if you want to post your emails in the chat, feel free to do so, the presenters, because maybe people would like to connect with you. There was a lot of food for thought here.